Welcome to Parts Perspective, the podcast for people who live and breathe automotive performance.
Got a series of thoughts I'd like to share with you today. If you took the day off unexpectedly, does your business stay running? What about a week? What about if you're in a situation where you needed a month? I hope that doesn't happen for anything but a good reason, but it can happen, and it does. These are things I see a lot of owners within this industry compromise on. There's a lot of 10, 20, 30-year-old businesses that would crumble without the owner. As an owner, maybe you enjoy doing everything. Maybe you think you can do a better job than everyone else. You're the only one that can do some of the jobs. Maybe you don't know how to train, hire, or lead a team. But when shit hits the fan and you aren't available, then what? That's what we're talking about in today's episode. Are you a business owner, business operator, or just a glorified employee? Likely with a shittier paycheck. You either are this person or you know this person that I'm about to explain to you. They're out and about, and the cell phone rings. I got to take this, they say. Off they go, giving directives, barking orders, long explanations. All during a time or a place where they're supposed to be present. They're not. Why? They're trapped in their business and drag it around like a ball and chain, right? It doesn't have to be like that. And that's something I've learned a little later than I'd like to admit. With the right framework, the right people, and the right leadership, you can build an autonomous system, an autonomous business, or at least very close. So let's start by just doing a quick review of, 3 or 4 different categories within this business, or within this industry, I should say. So the first is the service center, which is the most likely avenue to tie you down. Depending on the size, you're either the one still getting your hands dirty or very near to it. There are few owners of these businesses that are able to escape being the guy that does the work. And when your hands are required to put hours in to earn you money, how do you leave? You can't really, right? You'd have to shut down. So the second business is the parts counter. Second most likely to tie you down. Unless you're in a booming metropolis, it's hard to scale to the point that you have a full suite of staff to handle like literally everything, so that you can go on your vacation, take your day, whatever you need. So margins are decent at a parts counter, but volume often just isn't there because you're waiting on walk-in traffic all the time. Now, obviously, there are anomalies to this rule. But a lot of parts counters don't have huge volume to the point where you're going to have 10 people on staff, right? So the volume isn't really there to have a full suite of staff. Because everything is a human-human interaction by nature, your presence will be required for a lot of the time for a long time. E-commerce is the third one. This is a little closer to freedom. Depending on the scale of your operation and whether or not you ship products yourself, you may be able to operate this business, albeit not permanently, from a Mexican resort in your underpants. Maybe by the pool. Maybe by the ocean, if you got Wi-Fi. Staffing is easier. If you so choose, you can have remote staff, which means that you have an entire world of employees to work with. and their economies don't command the same wage level that the North American one does. So you're closer here. Not quite, but closer. Now the third 3.5 method here is marketplace e-commerce. This is selling on Amazon, on eBay. You don't really have brand, you don't really have a face. You give up margin for Amazon. It's going to be 12% here in Canada that they're taking for seller fees. And what you're getting in exchange for that is you essentially don't require customer service aside from returns. This is arguably the most freeing area of the industry, but it's also the most challenging and risky way to enter because you need systems and processes. You are relying heavily, not even relying heavily, you are relying fully on a third party to support your business. You'd want to drop ship most, if not all, of the products to make this work. So you have great freedom and high risk. So with a little summary of these avenues, which are you leaning toward if you haven't taken the plunge yet? If you're new, you've never started. If you're already in the business, was there an avenue separate from yours, a new avenue, that piqued your interest? Generally, I suspect people in public-facing portions of the industry, such as service centers or parts counters, may be interested in the various forms of e-commerce. And I suspect people heavily invested in e-commerce would have little to no interest in doubling down on in-person sales or service, with a couple of exceptions. Why do you think that is? I want to pause for a moment to clarify that I'm not here to piss in anyone's cornflakes or make anyone feel invalid. I just want to stop to make you think about what you're into, what other options are out there, and what kind of life you're really living as a business owner or an entrepreneur. This isn't the episode where I'm planning to get crazy granular with advice or expertise, and in some ways I'm still not an expert on this and I'm still learning. But I wanted this to be about reflection because it's something that I've learned and been working on more and more in the last year or so. So if you're in a service center or in-person retail parts counter, and you're thinking to yourself, yep, I haven't been able to take a proper day off without closing this place down completely in years. Maybe it's time to start thinking about a pivot to get your life back. Okay. I'm not here to tell anyone what to do. If you truly enjoy going to work every day of the year and you don't feel like it's a burden that you have to, or you're okay with closing down your shop entirely if you need to take a day or if you want to go on vacation, all the power to you. But I think at the core, the reason most of us decide to take the plunge and invest in owning our own businesses is to have some element of freedom. So if that's you, take some time to think about that and what that looks like for you. Can e-commerce do that for you or help your situation? Completely? In part? Think about that. If you're a person that's in e-commerce and you're thinking to yourself, I can be wherever I want, but that just so happens to be in my sofa and my sweatpants with a laptop next to a half-eaten bag of Cheetos, and I'm kind of tired of that because it's lonely and boring. It'd sure be nice to see the light of day and have some human interaction. And you're thinking to yourself, this isn't all as cracked up to be. Can you diversify into having a small brick and mortar presence or a service center built on the foundation of your e-commerce business where, if you do enough installs a day to keep one person busy, good, but at least you get to see some people, right? These are all options that we have. This life's pretty short, too short. We often get caught hyperfixating on one method of doing business with zero risk mitigation or diversity. The following are what I hope to be exaggerated situations, but nonetheless, situations I know a lot of folks wouldn't be prepared for. If you're operating a service center and every new vehicle from today forward could, for technological reasons, only ever be serviced by the dealer, would that eventually put you out of business? If you're the owner of a parts counter that's done business in a small town or corner of a city for decades, but that municipality has now grown in size, and AutoZone, O'Reilly's, or Part Source, as we have here in Canada, opened up just down the street from you, are you good? Is that okay? If you own an e-commerce brand and your credit card payment provider or platform, something like Shopify, said you're too high risk tomorrow for them, or auto parts are no longer allowed on their platform for some reason, then what? If you sell on marketplaces like eBay or Amazon, let's use Amazon in this example. Let's say Amazon raised their fees from the 12% they take, which is already quite egregious. They made that 30%. Or you know what? Maybe they removed auto parts from their platform altogether because they've noticed that people don't know what the fuck they're doing and shouldn't be ordering stuff on Amazon anyways. It's a pain in the ass for them. What are you going to do then if you have all your eggs in that basket? Do you have any other useful skills other than setting up an Amazon store and linking a bunch of products? In this world and in this industry, I believe diversity is king and delegation is queen. Meaning, don't back yourself into a corner by hyperfixating on a small portion of the industry, and don't put all of your eggs in one basket. And as far as delegation goes, if you are the only person in your business capable of doing a task or most of the tasks, take a look at what scaling looks like for you and how you can get yourself out of that hole you've dug. Because if you listen to those that have left us on this earth already, or people that get sick and their days are numbered, when you're near the end, I don't think anyone's going to look back and go, geez, I wish I spent more time on my business, or more time in my business is a better way of putting it, rather than looking back and going, I'm so glad that I trained X person how to do Y task so that I was able to go take that vacation, or I was able to go watch the kid play soccer, should you have children. Or you know what? Maybe I was just able to take days for myself where I did what I wanted to do. I don't think people are going to get to the end and be like, I'm so glad I had so much pride that I was the only person that could do tasks within my business. So just a couple things that I was thinking about. If there's something from this episode that resonated with you, leave a comment so that I know. And if you'd like me to hear me go deeper on how I'm implementing some of these concepts within my businesses, I'd also love to hear that from you. This podcast is intended to be somewhat like a diary or journal of my thoughts and lessons, obviously with some fruitful additions here and there. If you like what you hear, be sure to subscribe. You can find us on virtually all forms of social media. And if you're so inclined to look at my beautiful face, it's even available in video form. So with that, I bid you adieu. Until next time, it's been a slice.